everybody, this is Whitney Nicely, and today is my second day of my 40-day challenge to do a Facebook Live every day. So today we're talking about how I bought my first piece of vacant land, and I'm sitting here with my cousin Freddie, and I asked him, should we talk about the very first piece of vacant land that I bought, or the very first piece of vacant land that I bought and made money on? So we decided together that I would talk about the one that I made money on, because it's a lot more fun if we're going to talk about making money than if we're just talking about land. So the very first piece of vacant land that I bought was at an absolute auction. It was an online absolute auction. And if you are looking for an auction near you, go to Google and type in the name of your city, real estate auction, or type in the name of the city that you want to buy in, real estate auction. And auction.com will come up, but that is a website that the government uses to get rid of their foreclosures, and y'all know how I feel about the F word, so we're not going to talk about that, and we're not going to talk about auction.com. I want you to find Ma and Pa auctioneer in your town, and I want you to get on their email list so that whenever they have a real estate auction, you'll know about it. And now listen, this doesn't happen overnight. You might have to go to a couple practice auctions before you really get in the rhythm of it. And you know what's going on. You will see some of the same people there bidding on the real estate, and that'll kind of get you in the practice. So don't find something that you want to go buy and make that your first auction. Go to some practice auctions, okay? And I've been going to auctions since middle school, so I've done tons of practice. But what's really cool, and a lot of auctioneers, and I'm an auctioneer, and I do this also, I do online auctions. Instead of, having a bunch of people out on a Saturday and pitching a tent and feeding everybody hot dogs and making a big day out of it, a lot of auctioneers, myself included, we're doing real estate auctions online, which is way more fun. That means I can be here at my office bidding. I can be at the ballpark bidding on a property. I can put my bid in before I go to bed and wake up and bought a property. And that's what I did on my first piece. Okay? So I was subscribing to Powell Auction Realty here in Knoxville. That's who I used to work for when I was a baby agent and a baby auctioneer, an auctionette. And I signed up for their email list because I went to their auctions, and it's a mom and pa company here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they have lots of real estate auctions. So I got the email that they had, 10 or 15 different properties that were going out, and a lot of times the reason auctioneers have online auctions is because they have 10 or 15 properties that need to be sold, but each one wouldn't make for a very good auction by itself. So they have one big online auction and do, 5, 10, 15 properties in the same sale. So I was just kind of browsing through that auction, and I was looking at it, and they advertise them for about 6 weeks, and you can go check out the houses, you can go check out the land, you can, do your homework on it. And it ended up, they had one little piece of industrial land, a half acre of industrial land in the city of Knoxville, and it was on my side of town. Y'all know that my mom, my cousin Freddie, my uncle Ray, they have properties on the east side of town. Like, we've always been real estate investors in East Knoxville. So this piece came up, and it was in East Knoxville. It was closer to downtown than anything else that we have, but it was still like, if I was really good at throwing a rock or a baseball, I might be able to hit it from my house. Definitely from Freddie's house, I'd be able to hit this piece of land. So it was right in my little honey hole, right where I like to buy stuff. So I went to bed that night, and I put in a bid of like $1,500, I think. Maybe $1,200. I don't know, something, little bit of nothing. Little bit of no money. Let's say it wasn't 1,500. It must have been 1,200. I don't know, not much. And I woke up in the morning with an email from Powell Auction that said, "Congratulations, bidder number whatever I was, you have bought this property at whatever it is, Prosser Road, for, I think it was like $1,200, and then 10% on top is 120, so there's $1,320, and then there's taxes and closing costs, and all in, all done. When we got to closing on this property, I was $1,500.36. $1,536.86. I mean, just like a squidge over $1,500, and I bought this lot. Vacant, empty, half acre of industrial land. So, what did I do with it? Well, the first thing I did was go downtown, and I buy houses and I buy other pieces of land. And so I was downtown and I was talking to some of the codes guys. I was really flirting with the codes guys, if you want to really know what I was doing down there. And I said, oh yeah, guys, I just bought this piece of land over on Prosser Road. Why don't you check it out and tell me if you think I got a good deal on it or not? So they checked it out and they said, hold on a second. And they got to digging, and they dig, and they were digging, and they were digging a little deeper. And they said, do you know that you didn't just buy that land, but you bought half of that road too? I said, there's no road there. There's just a driveway that divides my land from my neighbor's land. And they said, no, that driveway used to be a road. And the city decided they didn't want it back in 1992. So in 1992, the city took that road and drew a line down the middle. And you got half and your neighbor got half. I said, so you're saying that when my neighbor drives on this driveway, when they go in, the left tire is on their property, but the right tire is on my property? And then when they come back out, the left tire's on my property and the right tire's on there. Is that what you're saying? And they said, yes. So I went to my neighbor, who's a Fortune 500 company, like on the NASDAQ, on the stock market, like a really big deal. And I walked up in there and told the secretary, the lady at the desk, I said, I need to talk to whoever's in charge of your real estate. I mean, just busted in there like Kool-Aid. I need to talk to your real estate person. And, you know, they put me through the ringer, and I had to talk to this person and that person and whatever. So I finally got to the guy that I needed to talk to. And I said, hey man, you're driving on my driveway and I want to be compensated for it, so pay up. I didn't exactly use those words, but that was pretty much the gist of what I said, okay? And he said, no, little real estate girl, you're obviously confused. We've had this driveway since 1992, and nobody's ever told us that we were driving on their land. You're confused. And if we are driving on your land, we're just going to move our fence back and not drive on your land anymore. I said, okay, fine. But I think you should just rent the driveway from me and we'll call it a day. He said, I tell you what, I'll have my surveyor go out and we'll call you and let you know where we're going to move our fence so that we don't bother your land anymore. And I said, all right, do whatever you got to. I don't care. So I went on about my business, and I was doing, you know, whatever it was I was doing, and I wasn't really paying that much attention. And he called me one day out of the blue on his cell phone, and I answered. I didn't know it was him on his cell phone, but he called and he said, yes, Miss Nicely. It turns out that we are driving on your driveway, and we would like to set up a formal rental agreement with you so that we could rent that land from you and make sure everything's good to go. How much would you like in rent, ma'am? And I said, oh yeah, well, it's all fun and games until I'm right. No. Well, how much were you thinking about paying me for rent to drive on my driveway every month? And he said, well, we were thinking about $250. Would that be okay? Y'all, I'm a PAL kid. I'm not really good at math. I really depend on my calculator a lot. But when he said he'd pay me $250 a month, and I knew I had $1,500 in it, it didn't take me too long to calculate that after 10 months I'd have $2,500. So obviously this is probably going to be a good deal. But I didn't say yes immediately. I said, will you hold on just a second for me? And I turned to my brother who was with me when he happened to call back, and I said, "What do you think?" And Tyler said, "Sounds good to me." And I said, "All right, hold on." So I got back on the phone with Mr. Hotshot and said, "All right, we'll take the $250 a month, but we want you to be responsible for any maintenance. If this driveway needs gravel, if it needs to be graded, if you have a tree that falls and you got to clear it, if it needs snow removal. I mean, like, I don't want to touch this driveway. I don't want you to call me about this driveway. I don't even want to know what's going on with this driveway. I just want to see the money come in every month. So you had to be responsible for the maintenance, and I want you to pay my property taxes every year." Which, honestly, y'all, it's like $50. It's not a big deal at all, because it's just a half-acre piece of industrial land in the city of Knoxville. It's nothing fancy. There's not a lot of taxes on it. But I told him I would take $250 a month if he would be responsible for the maintenance, and he would pay my property taxes every year. And he said yes. Woo! So that was in the summer of 2012 or 2013. I can't remember now. But regardless, we had Tyler and I put $750 each in this deal. We were $1,500 into this deal. Okay? So another thing was, I bought this land in June. We closed the 1st of July. And it was like September or October by the time I'd gone and talked to the codes guys, by the time I'd gone and had it surveyed, by the time they'd had it surveyed. Like, it just took some time for this to kind of spread out. So that was the last thing I told him, is that I wanted to be compensated from the day I'd owned this property. And he said, "I can't do that, that just seems kind of crazy to me, but what I'll do is I'll give you 3 months. I'll give you 3 months and start paying this month on this land." So they gave me $750 and started paying that month. And every month on the 16th, 17th, or 18th, I get an email from them that $250 has gone into my account. So we've had a $1,500 investment in vacant land since either 2012 or 2013. We got all of our money back within a year. And we've been making money on that driveway since then. But wait, there's more. So every year my family goes to Florida in February. We go down for the races, we go down for some sun, some vitamin C, and just some good time with the family. So this year I went ahead, and Tyler came on down. I think I'd been there for about a week, and then he came on down and he said, "Guess what?" And I said, "I hope it makes money." And he said, "It does." I said, "What'd you do?" And he said, "Well, we got the driveway rented to the Prosser Road lot, but then we've had this half acre just sitting there, growing grass, not doing anything for 3, 4, 5 years, 3 or 4 years by this point. And I rented it." And I said, "You rented our vacant land? How much did we get?" He said, $500 a month. $500 a month comes into our account every month for vacant, empty, raw dirt and trees land. Plus we get $250 a month for the driveway usage by our neighbor. So every month, Tyler and I collect $750. That means every other month, we get our entire investment back. The only way you can do better than getting your entire investment back every other month is to get your entire investment back every month. Okay? And this is raw land. We don't have any overhead. We don't have to worry about toilets. We don't have to worry about a roof. We're just bringing money in off this vacant piece of land, and I'll go when I leave here and take a picture of it and post it up so that you can see my first piece of vacant land that I bought at an online auction for $1,500. Tax tag and title, not at the tax sale, clear deed, all in, all done, $1,500. It's mine. And Tyler and I are going to make money on this little chunk of land for the rest of our lives. So, if you could find a piece of land and you could put $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, you could put $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 into it and buy it, and then rent it for $750 a month. If you did that once a month, by the end of the year, you'd be making $7,500. Is that 70? What's 10 times 7? 750. That's 7,500, isn't it? Yeah. How many times do you need to do that before you can quit your 9 to 5, or before you'll realize that the money is in real estate? You know, like, what is it, 80 or 90% of millionaires became millionaires from real estate? And you don't need a trust fund. You don't need $100,000 to get started. This is just a little bitty chunk of land that I bought for $1,500, and now I rent for $750 a month. That's a solid return on investment with no overhead. So even if you didn't want to graduate into houses and apartments and you only bought land for the rest of your life, know what you're buying. If y'all have any questions, we started May's coaching yesterday, group coaching. You can always go to whitneynicely.com. I've got books there. I've got some programs there. I've got the group program up there. Like, real estate is not complicated. So don't try to make it complicated. Okay? It's really fun, and it's pretty easy. So, don't let any of these excuses stop you. Get out there, buy some houses, buy some land, buy some apartments, but get out there and start creating your financial freedom today. If y'all have any questions, send me a message. Let me know if I confused you, if I missed anything, but know that the opportunities are out there, and I'll help you get there. Bye, y'all.